A lot has been happening for Borderlands 4 recently. A lot of news, has been coming out, as well as the fact that we now have access to the full skill trees, at least for Vex and Rafa, Vex being the Siren of Borderlands 4. So we did make a video going over the phase familiar and all its skills in a different video already. Link to that will be in the description. So we're going to go over the incarnate this time and see what we can find out. And you can kind of see that the perks are changing when we click on the skill tree. So incarnate, we have guns and needles. Kill skill restores rep kit cooldown by a percentage. Rep kit cooldown restored at 7%. Then we have volatile essence. Vex gains increased splash damage. Double this effect when an action skill is active. Okay. And you can kind of see that up to 5 points you'll get an increase of 3.5%. I think that is per level, I'm assuming. So that's a lot of extra splash damage. We then have a passive, Leeching Attunement, Attune skill. While Vex is attuned to Kinetic, she gains increased lifesteal and reload speed. Effects persist for a duration after attunement is switched. So we can see right there we get 2% lifesteal, 6% reload speed, and attunement duration. We come over here, we got another passive, Grave Sights. Kill skill. Vex gains increased critical hit damage and weapon handling. Critical hit damage 2 per stack. Gun handling 3% per stack. Max stacks 3 and 10 stacks. Keep in mind this is a 5 stack perk, so that's 2% and 3% per buff per level, if you would, right? Come over to the next level and we have Fiendish Invigoration. When Vex uses a rep kit, she and her minions gain increased movement speed and fire rate for duration. Okay. We then have Geast Wave. This is an augment. Instead of causing a phase explosion, Vex will launch a Geast Wave, dealing ordnance damage to enemies it passes through. Each affected enemy will take increased damage for duration. That's pretty tough. We then have Bloodletter, which is another passive. Gun and skill critical hits have a chance to apply bleed, causing kinetic status effect damage over time. Bleed is affected by status effect application chance and is considered a status effect. Okay, so you get 25% chance per level, which is pretty nice, and 9% of gun damage per second per level, which is correct. Next augment is going to be Energy Vampire. Vex deals a status effect damage to nearby enemies over time and gains overshield for each enemy affected. Nice. Kill skill. Killing an enemy while incarnate is active will grant a stack of Energy Vampire, increasing status effect damage. Stacks are lost when incarnate ends. Okay? That's pretty huge. Grave Implements is the next passive. This is a kill skill. Vex and her minions gain increased gun damage for duration. Okay, that's going to be tough, especially because, she can summon her minions and you get 3% per level. This is a 5-level perk. Going to be pretty huge. We then have Target Prescience. This is a passive. Vex gun damage gains critical hit chance against any part of enemies. That's pretty tough, okay? Grave Power is the next passive. Vex kill skills gain increased maxed stacks. Nice. It looks like 1 stack per level. We have Material Components. This is a passive. Vex gains increased kinetic damage and kinetic status effect damage. And then we have Channeling, which is a passive. Vex gains increased action skill duration and attunement duration, which is pretty huge. If we continue, we can see that we have more abilities, right? Radiant Attunement is a passive. This attune skill, while Vex are attuned to radiation, She gains increased splash damage and maximum shield capacity. Then Iron Maiden augment, phase explosion and Eldritch Blast restore shield for each enemy hit and deal increased damage based on Vex's current shield, which is pretty huge, right? Then we have Conjunction, which is a passive. I like the little yin yang symbol. Vex gains increased gun damage the more full her shield, and gains damage reduction the less full her health. So more damage buffs. We like that, right? We do like that. And then we have Full Moon. Vex gains increased action, skill, cooldown rate, and ordnance cooldown rate to the fullness of her shield. The next passive is Restorative Tonic. When Vex uses a rep kit, she gains shield regeneration for a duration. Dreadlight is the next passive. When Vex deals gun damage, there's a chance to spawn a radioactive hazard, dealing radiation damage over time, so you can do a little radiation build, right? Havoc is the next passive. Vex gains increased radiation damage and radiation status effect damage. Desecration is a capstone. Phase explosion and Eldritch Blast create hazards, dealing damage over time for a duration. So I assume that's like traps, and Eldritch Blast is now a homing if it hits an airborne enemy, dealing damage to nearby enemies. Okay. We then have Keen Mind being the next one. Vex skill damage gains increased critical hit chance against any part of the enemy. So her skill and her guns can do that. Witchy Trigger Finger augment. Dealing damage with Eldritch Blast or Phase Explosion will reload Vex's current gun and grant a stack of Witchy Trigger Finger, increasing gun damage. So that's pretty huge. You empty your clip, use an ability, get the reload, empty your clip, use an ability, get the reload. That's pretty nice. Drink Full is a passive. Whenever Vex deals gun damage, gain a stack of Drink Full, increasing fire rate. Okay. Phase Pocket. Vex gains increased magazine size and weapon switch speed. Okay, that's gonna be huge. Mortal Terror, passive. Chance to trigger skills when critically hitting enemies. Nice. Nice. That's, you have a chance to trigger a kill skill when critically hitting enemies. That's pretty huge. Grave Elements kill skill. Vex and her minions gain elemental damage for a duration. Nice. Strike Me Down. Whenever Vex would enter fight for your life, she immediately gets a second wind, becomes invisible for a duration, and causes a phase explosion. Oh my wow. That is pretty huge. That's exciting, actually. Okay, nice. Vibe check. Eldritch is now a charge skill up to 3, I'm guessing. Up to 3 levels. Activating Eldritch Blast consumes all charges and ricochets for each charge consumed. Pretty huge. That's cracked, actually. Grave Vitality kill skill. Vex gains increased maximum health capacity and health regeneration. Grave Harvest augment. Kill skill. Killing an enemy while Incarnate is active will spawn a soul orb, which deals status effect damage over time to nearby enemies for duration. Detonate a soul orb at range by pressing a button, dealing ordnance damage to nearby enemies. Picking up a soul orb will restore health and action skill damage. Oh my gosh, bro. Ars Arcana. Vex gains increased skill damage. Okay, the skill build is finna be crazy. Essence Leech passive. Vex gains lifesteal, so she gets more lifesteal. Bloodshot passive. When Vex uses a repair kit, her next gunshot will become a bloodshot, converting damage dealt into kinetic damage and dealing bonus damage based on her current health. Wow. Wow. Vex kill skills gain increased duration. Wow, brother. Heart Piercer capstone. Eldritch Blast now sacrifices health on use but becomes a piercing wave. Enemies hit take damage and allies hit restore health. Gain bonus damage and healing based on each sacrifice health. Blast no longer has a cooldown. Oh my. Vex gains bonus kinetic damage with guns based on lifesteal when her health is full. That is tough. And that is going to be all of the perks for the Incarnate skill tree. We will be unloading builds on the channel, early builds on the channel now at this point. If y'all did enjoy the video, please be sure to hit that subscribe button. Leave a like as well as your thoughts down in the comment section below. Appreciate y'all stopping by. Peace out.